Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are talking about the 12th chapter in the Tao Te Ching illustrated edition. This is a book I derive much of my wisdom from, and as part of this series, we are going through and we're talking about how each different chapter can affect your life, how it affects society, the universe, so the macro level, and then the micro level of the self and our lives, our families, our friends, all of that. So, as you already know from the title, this one is called The Subjugation of Desire. I really like this chapter. It's one of the ones that's like quite well known in many of these circles. There's certain sayings and things that we get from Taoism, and while this one doesn't necessarily produce a specific saying that is really good, I think this one exemplifies sort of quintessential wisdom of the Tao Te Ching, however you want to pronounce it. I know some people even call it the Tao Te Ching, like it's printed here, even though I think it's supposed to be pronounced Tao Te Ching. So, chapter 12, the subjugation of desire. This is essentially talking about moderation, everything in moderation, even moderation. But it talks about like too many colors confuse the eye. That is the first line. And the idea is that too much of something really cheapens it. It hollows it out. You lose the meaning of it. We like to talk about meaning and how it means for our lives and what things mean to us, sentimental value, those kinds of things. And one of the important aspects of having something that is sentimental to you, whether it is a memory or an object, is that it's finite. There's only one of it. There is, it's just the one memory, or it's just the one object, or whatever. If you had, 1,200 Pokemon cards, you're not going to have a sentimental value attached to every single one of them. You might have a value or a meaning attached to one specific card, that meant a lot to you. It was really lucky that you got it. Someone special gave it to you, those kinds of things. But the idea that every single one of those cards is going to be incredibly meaningful and impactful to you, not true. It's just not. You can't have 12,000 things that you love and cherish deeply individually. Humans aren't built like that. I think we're even built to, there's some research that's gone on that said that the optimal human tribe size is like 150. After that, it's too big and you can't know everybody in the tribe and or in the community, however you want to call it. And so, we're people we are finite, and we live a certain amount, we can eat a certain amount, we can exist in a certain capacity. And so the idea of moderation applies to us because we are mortal beings, not long for this world, and we don't exist in a vacuum. And so this chapter essentially just deals with, like I said, moderation, the ability to realize that too much of something ruins it, and that kind of thing. I think this chapter, on the macro level, on the big scale, the society, the universe, this makes a lot of sense because it has to do with sort of resources in a way. And so we're going to talk a little bit about capitalism because I currently live in a capitalist world. If you are watching this, odds are you are also living in a somewhat of a capitalist world where goods and services are exchanged for money. Money is the sort of product of value. It is the thing that we can exchange for goods, services, all these kinds of things. And just like in the universe at large, people have an ascribed value towards them, or, in our bank accounts, however you want to look at it. And this is the limiting factor in our economy or our society, is basically what I'm trying to say. And so the idea that the idea of capitalism is essentially, if you can produce something that people like, you can accumulate money or value, and you're able to then turn around and use that value to theoretically cover your needs, you know, your food, your shelter, all of these things. And so this is essentially where I'm trying to get to the point where this chapter has meaning, and how it has meaning for me, essentially, because the way that I think of it is, if you are like a billionaire or something, all of your basic needs monetarily are met. You know, you can buy food, you can buy shelter, you can buy private islands, like whatever. But too much of that, you get to a point where it's simply more than you could ever spend in your whole life. You know, you are completely, what is the word I'm looking for? You're completely saturated in your daily needs. Like you are good in that capacity. You still have emotional needs, you still have family, you still have connections that tie you to this world. But on the whole, you don't have to worry about these other things. But that does, in fact, change the way you look at the world. And it, because you have so much resources at your hands, I imagine that you become kind of confused on what to do, how to do it, what is your meaning in life. Many of these billionaires just stick with the meaning that gave them life for so long, and that's making money. And so, you know, we always look at these billionaires and we go like, why on earth are they still chasing all this money? Why are they still working so hard? And I think a big part of it is it's the only thing that gives them meaning in life, and they're looking for this particular connection. And you know, they've made enough money that they could never work another day in their life and they could still live like kings. But everybody needs meaning in their life, and when you are completely fulfilled in one category, you either have to look for a new way to find meaning in that category of your life, or you just stick with it and you just continue to accumulate wealth or whatever. And that's when moderation is really important. So that's how I think this like applies a little bit to the world at large. Other people I've listened to talk about this chapter, they've said like, if you had a guitar and you played all 5 chords at the exact same time, it would sound awful. And it's only because you use the specific chords and the specific notes in a good sequence that you create a beautiful song. So moderation is required. Same with on a piano. If you just mash all of the keys at the same time, it sounds awful. It sounds like a little kid or a cat running across the keys. But if you are skillful and you have that ability to choose the right notes at the right time, you can create a beautiful symphony, a beautiful musical song, a story. You know, you're able to, the beauty of that thing comes out because you are using these notes sparingly, you are using them carefully, you are moderating yourself. And so that's when it says, too many sounds confuse the ear, which is the second line. So it's talking about the moderation and how we need that in our life. And essentially that is the basis of this chapter. The second half of this chapter is basically saying like it's called the subjugation of desire. So desire is another huge part of this. It doesn't just come to moderation, it comes into the idea of not surrounding yourself with luxuries and things that make you feel amazing, and not making that the focal point of your life. Your life is not about feeling so comfortable all the time. And this is kind of a controversial take on certain aspects of society now, but your life should not be 100% comfort. Being uncomfortable allows you to think of new ideas. It allows you to grow as an individual. Being uncomfortable, like going to the gym and breaking down your muscles, that makes you build back stronger. It literally makes your muscles stronger and bigger and work better. And so you need to be able to be uncomfortable in order to have any kind of growth. And many people in our society now, you can look at, you know, the epidemic of the painkillers, you can look at the epidemic of obesity. There's all of these things where people feel the need to avoid pain and chase after that good feeling. And trust me, like, I completely understand that. I have struggled with all kinds of things in my life where I just want to be comfortable. I just want to be happy. I just want to be fulfilled. I want to be gluttonous. I want to do these things. And it is incredibly hard to limit those desires and to not let those desires shape your behavior, your activity, and the way you live your life. And I think this is probably one of the most important aspects of our society that is quite alarming, is just this inability to deal with desire and this inability to focus on what life is really about. Because life is not about being comfortable. It's not about striving for these things. It's about trying to be that better person, trying to fulfill your life and find things that you love while not by not falling to temptation. You know, you can go back to the biblical stories. You can go back to a lot of the stories we have in pop culture, superheroes, all of these things. And a huge plot point in many of these stories is the idea that the main character is tempted with some great power, some magical ability that's going to make their lives easier or better or make them more famous. And the moral of these stories is always, you do not need that luxury. You do not need that power, that special magical object, in order to live a good life, to be a good human being, and to love the people in your life. It's a huge story point. You can go back to almost any story and you can identify a moment where a character is given a decision of, do you want to take the easy thing that's going to give you all this power and luxury, or do you want to do it the hard way, which is, you know, the correct way, the good way, you know, like not just jumping into something because of ego or because you want it right here, right now, easy. It's not the easy route, it's the hard road. And so this whole concept is pretty big for ourselves, and I feel like it's one of the biggest factors in determining who you are in society. So if you are somebody who resists temptation and you have that willpower and you have a vision of who you want to be, and you don't want to be controlled by your desires and the temptations, and you are striving every single day to achieve the goals you want the way that you want to do them. You know, you're not taking that easy road. You're not working the thing that you hate just to get that money to live on the weekends. You know, you are living for every day of the week. So those are kind of the concepts that I think are really crucial in this chapter. I think it is so hard. Like, please do not confuse what I've just said for me finger wagging at anybody saying you need to live better, you need to, like, I can tell you so honestly, like, even today, I struggle so hard with avoiding easy temptations and easy desires, and living with moderation is something that I struggle with on a daily basis. I was at Costco this morning, and oh my gosh, it was like 9 o'clock in the morning, and gosh, did I want an ice cream. And I was just like, you know what? No, this is ridiculous. Like, I haven't eaten anything today. The first thing I'm going to eat is not going to be ice cream. And so I walked back to my car, and I was like, oh, it would have been so good. You know, some French fries, some ice cream. It would have been so easy just to completely like gorge and just eat a whole bunch of bad food right in the morning. But I knew that I was going to feel bad about it. It was going to affect my day. It was going to make me feel bad, not just physiologically, but it was also going to make me feel weak because I would have, you know, given into that temptation. But I feel so good that I didn't. I feel so incredibly like proud of myself that I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to go home. I'm going to cook a good meal. It's going to be way better for me. And so, yeah, like it's a struggle, but like, oh my gosh, it was really a 50-50 at one point there in my decision making. So please do not think that I'm trying to act holier than thou or any of those things. Like, I struggle with this stuff so incredibly hard, and honestly, you're not gonna hit it out of the park every single day. You are gonna slip. There are gonna be difficulties, but it's about responding to those things like in a good fashion and saying, okay, you know what? I slipped up, but it's okay to treat myself a little bit now and then, but I'm not gonna do it again. I'm gonna get back on track. I'm gonna get to the gym. I'm gonna do what I need to do, and that will be beautiful. So I think that is essentially all I'd like to say about the subjugation of desire. Um, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Um, I hope even just today, after watching this video, you can go home or go throughout your day and maybe resist a few of these desires. Realize that the real joy of life is the simple pleasures, reading a book, getting to walk through the park, watching a squirrel busily running about doing its daily stuff, um, connecting with a friend. These things don't cost anything, but they mean the world and they are priceless. So thank you guys for watching. And as always, I will talk to you guys tomorrow. The subjugation of desire. Too many colors confuse the eye. Too many sounds confuse the ear. Too many tastes confuse the palate. A life of hectic pleasure, riding and hunting, will drive you crazy. Coveting precious objects destroys your morals. The wise man is concerned only with having a full belly, not with vain aspirations. He concentrates on the former and distances himself from the latter.